18 black child stars who completely vanished from Hollywood. They were everywhere, on your TV screen, on your lunchbox, in your dreams. Then one day, they simply vanished. No goodbye, no explanation, just gone. Some lost millions before they turned 20. Some lost their minds trying to hold on to fame that was never designed to last. One died at 42 with nothing left but a catchphrase the world still quotes. These weren't just child stars. They were real people fed to an industry that chews up black talent and spits out cautionary tales. Before we go further, if you grew up watching any of these faces, hit subscribe and ring that bell. Memory Lane. Black people is where their stories finally get told right. Gary Coleman.
Before there was a viral moment, before there was a catchphrase that outlived its creator, there was a boy from Zion, Illinois who made an entire nation stop and laugh. Gary Wayne Coleman was born on February 8, 1968, with a kidney condition called focal segmental glomerulosclerosis that permanently stunted his growth, leaving him at just 4 feet 8 inches tall for the rest of his life. What could have been a source of tragedy became, instead, the foundation of one of the most recognizable careers in television history. At just 10 years old, Coleman was cast as Arnold Jackson in Different Strokes, premiering on NBC in 1978. The show ran for 8 seasons, and Gary wasn't just a supporting player, he was the show. His delivery of the line, "What you talkin' about, Willis?" became one of the most quoted phrases in American pop culture, winning him 3 consecutive People's Choice Awards for Favorite Young TV Performer from 1980 to 1983. At the peak of his fame, he was earning close to $100,000 per episode, and by the time he turned 18, his total earnings had reached an estimated $18 million. But that money was gone. Gary's parents and business manager had quietly drained his trust fund. When he finally looked at the accounts, only $220,000 remained. He sued them in 1989 and won a court judgment of $1.28 million, a fraction of what had been taken. The betrayal didn't just cost him financially, it cost him his ability to trust, and it cast a shadow over every year that followed. Hollywood, never kind to child stars who age out of their roles, had nothing left for him. He worked as a security guard. Paparazzi photographed him in uniform and sold the images as punchlines. The man who once earned 6 figures per episode was filing for bankruptcy by 1999. His personal life offered no refuge either. A 2007 marriage to Shannon Price dissolved quickly into public disputes. His health, never stable, continued to deteriorate through multiple kidney transplants and ongoing dialysis. On May 26, 2010, Coleman fell at his Utah home and suffered a severe brain hemorrhage. He was taken off life support 2 days later, on May 28, 2010. He was 42 years old. The tragedy of Gary Coleman is not simply that he died young. It's that the system around him, the parents, the managers, the industry, consumed everything he built and left him with nothing but the memory of a punchline that the world still laughs at today.
Emanuel Lewis. If Gary Coleman was the storm, Emanuel Lewis was the calm eye at its center, equally famous, equally small in stature, but somehow untouched by the wreckage that swallowed so many of his peers. Born on March 9, 1971, in Brooklyn, New York, Emanuel Lewis grew up as the youngest of 4 children raised by his mother Margaret, a computer science professional who would become the quiet architect of his success. There was no known medical reason for his height. He would grow to only 4 feet 3 inches as an adult, but what he lacked in stature, he more than compensated for in presence. His career began through commercials, over 60 of them, for brands including Burger King, Campbell's Soup, and Life cereal. It was one of those Burger King spots that caught the attention of an ABC programming executive who saw in this boy something television desperately needed, a lead character who could anchor an entire series on charm alone. In 1983, at age 12, Emanuel was cast as Webster Long in Webster, a sitcom that ran for 6 seasons on ABC before moving to first-run syndication, totaling 150 episodes. He won 4 consecutive People's Choice Awards for Favorite Young TV Performer from 1984 to 1987. His face appeared on the cover of TV Guide 4 times. In Japan, he became so beloved that his single, City Connection, reached #2 on the Oricon chart, an achievement most American musicians never come close to. When Webster ended in 1989, Lewis made a choice that separated him from almost every other child star of his generation. He walked away quietly, without scandal, without collapse. He enrolled at Clark Atlanta University and earned a bachelor's degree in theater arts in 1997. He built a music label, remained active in business ventures, and appeared in occasional projects, including Michael Jackson's Liberian Girl music video, on his own terms. He has never chased the spotlight that once chased him. Decades later, Emanuel Lewis lives between Atlanta and Los Angeles, involved in Prince Hall masonry, philanthropy, and music production. He is 55 years old, in good health, and, by every measure, a man who beat the odds that destroyed so many others. The world remembers him as Webster, but his real story is what happened after the cameras stopped rolling. A quiet, deliberate, dignified life. And in the world of child stardom, that is rarer than any award he ever won. Keshia Knight Pulliam. She was the baby of the Huxtable family, but long before she could read a script, Keshia Knight Pulliam was already on camera. Born on April 9, 1979, in Newark, New Jersey, Keshia made her professional debut at just 9 months old. A print advertisement for Johnson & Johnson baby products. By age 3, she was appearing on Sesame Street. By age 5, she had walked into an audition for a new NBC sitcom called The Cosby Show, pointed at a monitor, and asked the director, "How can you make me on the TV?" She got the part. From 1984 to 1992, Keshia played Rudy Huxtable, the youngest, most spirited child in one of the most beloved black families ever put on American television. The show ran for 8 seasons and became the #1 series in the United States for 5 consecutive years. In 1986, at just 6 years old, Keshia became the youngest performer in history to be nominated for a Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Comedy Series. That record held for decades. When The Cosby Show ended in 1992, Keshia did something almost no child star does. She stopped. Deliberately. Completely. She finished high school, moved to Virginia, and in 2001 graduated from Spelman College in Atlanta with a bachelor's degree in sociology and a concentration in film. For nearly a decade, she chose education over entertainment, invisibility over celebrity. Her return was gradual but purposeful. Tyler Perry cast her in Tyler Perry's House of Pain beginning in 2007. And she won NAACP Image Awards for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Comedy Series in both 2009 and 2010. The role proved she had grown into a commanding adult actress, no longer Rudy, but something more. Her personal life brought both joy and public pain. A brief marriage to former NFL player Ed Hartwell in 2016 ended in a very public divorce, with contested paternity claims that played out in tabloids. She later married actor Brad James in 2021 and has described the relationship as the steadiest ground she has ever stood on. Today, Keshia Knight Pulliam is 47 years old, a mother of 2, an entrepreneur with her own spice line called Keshia's Kitchen, a television producer, and a woman who refused to let child stardom write the final chapter of her story. The girl who once asked how she could appear on TV has spent the last 30 years proving she was always meant to stay there. Orlando Brown. There are child stars who fade, and then there are those whose disappearance becomes something far more painful to watch. Orlando Brown was born on December 4, 1987 in Los Angeles, California. He began acting at age 7, appearing in the 1995 military comedy Major Payne alongside Damon Wayans, his very first film role, and an early signal of the comic instincts that would define him. From there, he built a resume that most young actors only dream of. A recurring role as 3J Winslow on Family Matters, the lead voice character in the animated Disney series Fillmore, and the voice of Sticky Webb in The Proud Family. But it was his role as Eddie Thomas, Raven Baxter's loyal, hilarious best friend on That's So Raven, that made him a Disney Channel icon. The show ran from 2003 to 2007, becoming the first Disney Channel series to reach 100 episodes. Orlando was a central reason why it got there. His energy, timing, and genuine chemistry with co-star Raven-Symoné gave the show a warmth that audiences felt deeply. After That's So Raven ended, the roles slowed and something else started, something nobody had a name for yet. Legal troubles began accumulating. Arrests for drug possession, domestic battery, DUI. By 2016, the headlines weren't about his work, they were about his unraveling. A 2018 appearance on Dr. Phil shocked viewers when Brown appeared visibly confused, claiming Michael Jackson was his biological father and that his full legal name was Orlando Brown Prince Michael Jackson Jr. It wasn't a joke, it was a cry for help that the internet turned into a meme. He entered and left rehab multiple times. He became homeless at points. The gap between who he had been on screen and who he appeared to be off it was devastating to anyone who grew up watching him. In recent years, however, there are signs of something different. By late 2025, Brown had reportedly achieved sobriety again. He opened a restaurant, Orlando Brown's $1 Million Fried Chicken in Phoenix, Arizona. He released new music. He married Danielle Brown in 2020. He is a father. Orlando Brown is 38 years old. His story is not finished, and maybe that is the most important thing to say about him. Dee Davis. She was 4 years old when she walked onto the set of The Bernie Mac Show and stole every scene she was ever in. 25 years later, she has never tried to steal another one. Danielle Dee Dee Davis was born on April 17, 1996 in Olympia Fields, Illinois. When she was cast as Brianna Baby Girl Tompkins at age 5 in 2001, nobody expected a kindergartner to become the emotional heartbeat of one of the most critically acclaimed black sitcoms of its era. But that is exactly what happened. The Bernie Mac Show ran for 5 seasons on Fox, winning a Peabody Award in 2001 and a Primetime Emmy for Outstanding Writing for a Comedy Series. The chemistry between Bernie Mac and Tiny Dee Dee, the comedy titan and the fearless child, became something television rarely produces. 2 performers who genuinely elevated each other. Baby Girl's line deliveries, her wide eyes, her impossible confidence in front of the camera gave the show a sweetness that balanced Mac's razor-sharp edge perfectly. When the show ended in 2006, Dee Dee Davis was 10 years old, and she made a decision that, for a child actress at the peak of her recognizability, was genuinely extraordinary. She stepped away. No follow-up roles in Disney Channel movies, no record deal, no reality television. She went to school. She grew up privately. She became a young woman outside the reach of an industry that rarely protects the children it profits from. Bernie Mac himself, who passed away on August 9, 2008 from complications due to pneumonia at age 50, never got to see how she turned out. But the dignity with which she carried his show's legacy says everything about what he built. Today, Dee Dee Davis is 29 years old. She is a mother, active on social media in a warm but low-key way, and genuinely content. She represents a kind of ending the entertainment industry almost never produces. A child star who left on her own terms before anything could take that choice away from her. Baby Girl grew up, and she did it beautifully. Brandon Hammond. In 1997, a boy named Ahmad sat in front of a camera and narrated the story of his family with the kind of emotional clarity that most adult actors spend entire careers trying to find. He was 13 years old. Brandon Hammond was born in 1984, and by his early teens, he had already appeared in 3 major Hollywood productions. In 1996, he had a role in Tim Burton's Mars Attacks alongside an all-star ensemble. That same year, he appeared in The Fan with Robert De Niro and Wesley Snipes. But it was his lead performance in Forest Whitaker's Soul Food in 1997 that announced him as something special. Playing Ahmad, a child processing grief, family fracture, and the weight of keeping people together, Hammond delivered a performance that critics described as wise beyond his years. His narration carried the entire film. He wasn't acting like a child. He was acting like someone who understood what the story needed and gave it exactly that. The film grossed over $11 million in its opening weekend on a modest budget and became a lasting piece of Black cinematic culture. By every external measure, Brandon Hammond was positioned for a long, serious career. And then, almost without announcement, he disappeared from screens. There were no scandals, no arrests, no tabloid spiral. What happened was something quieter and, in its own way, more interesting. Brandon Hammond chose to tell stories instead of perform them. He moved behind the camera, focusing on screenwriting and independent filmmaking. He found more meaning in crafting narratives than inhabiting them, a transition that speaks to an artistic maturity few child actors ever reach. His work in the independent space has remained largely away from the mainstream spotlight, which means most people who grew up watching him have never seen what he became. But what he became is a storyteller, a creator, someone who engaged with the craft on his own terms. Brandon Hammond is approximately 41 years old today. He never burned out. He never collapsed. He simply grew in a direction the cameras couldn't follow. Ahmad would have understood.
Lark Voorhies. She was Lisa Turtle before Lisa Turtle was a cultural touchstone.
And for a generation of young Black girls who turned on NBC Saturday mornings and saw themselves reflected in a stylish, confident, funny teenager, that meant everything. Lark Voorhies was born Lark Holloway on March 25, 1974, in Nashville, Tennessee, before her family relocated to Pasadena, California. She made her acting debut at age 2, took a break, and returned to screens as a teenager, landing the role of Lisa Marie Turtle on Disney Channel's Good Morning Miss Bliss in 1988, which then became Saved by the Bell on NBC. From 1989 to 1993, she was part of one of the most watched teen shows in American television history, winning the Young Artist Award in both 1990 and 1993. At the height of the show's popularity, Voorhies was everywhere. Magazine covers, red carpets, music videos. She appeared in Boys to Men's On Bended Knee, Montel Jordan's Something for the Honeys, and Kenny Lattimore's Never Too Busy. She was one of the first Black teen actresses to achieve that level of mainstream visibility in a show that wasn't specifically coded as a Black show. After Saved by the Bell, she transitioned into soap operas, Days of Our Lives, The Bold and the Beautiful, proving she had genuine range. But by the mid-2000s, her public appearances became rarer, and something in her interviews felt different. Her answers were fragmented. Her presence was altered. In 2012, her mother revealed publicly that Voorhies had been living with schizoaffective disorder, a serious mental health condition that affects thought, mood, and perception. Lark initially denied the diagnosis, then confirmed it, and eventually began speaking about it openly in interviews, including a 2020 appearance on Dr. Oz. She was notably excluded from major Saved by the Bell reunion events for years, a slight she publicly described as hurtful. In 2020, she filmed a cameo for Peacock's reboot, a moment fans received with genuine emotion. Lark Voorhies is 52 years old today. Her story is not a cautionary tale about fame. It is a story about a woman who fought something invisible, largely alone, and still found her way back to the screen that first made her shine. Tatyana Ali. She grew up on one of the most watched sitcoms in television history. But the most remarkable thing Tatyana Ali ever did had nothing to do with acting. Born on January 24, 1979, in Manhattan Beach, California, to an Indo-Trinidadian father and a Panamanian mother, Tatyana Ali began performing before she could fully read. At age 6, she joined the cast of Sesame Street. At 11, she was cast as Ashley Banks on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the youngest member of a household that became one of America's most beloved fictional families. She played Ashley for all 6 seasons, from 1990 to 1996, and audiences watched her grow, from a quiet, wide-eyed child to a confident young woman with serious musical ambitions. That growth wasn't just character development, it was real. In 1998, signed to MJJ Music, Michael Jackson's own record label, Tatyana released her debut album, Kiss the Sky. It was certified gold, selling over 500,000 copies in the United States. The lead single, Daydreamin', peaked at number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100. For a moment, it looked like she might become as prominent in music as she was in television. But Tatyana Ali made a choice that almost no one in her position made. She enrolled at Harvard University. In 2002, she graduated with a Bachelor of Arts in African American Studies and Government. Not as a media stunt, not for a press release. She simply believed and demonstrated that her education was as important as her platform. Throughout the 2000s and 2010s, she maintained a steady presence in television movies, soap operas, and recurring roles, balancing a career with genuine activism. She has worked as a political speechwriter, campaigned for voter registration among communities of color, and been outspoken about representation in the industry. In 2016, she married Dr. Vaughn Raspberry, a Stanford University professor, and the couple has 2 children. Tatyana Ali is 47 years old, a Harvard graduate, a gold-certified musician, a political advocate, and a working actress. Ashley Banks was a character. The woman who played her turned out to be even more extraordinary. Camille Winbush. She was sarcastic, sharp, and 17 when the cameras loved her most. But Camille Winbush's story after the Bernie Mac show is far more complicated and far more honest than most people expected. Born on February 9, 1990 in Culver City, California, Camille was already a seasoned professional by the time she was 10. Her first television appearance came at age 4 on the series Viper in 1994. She built an early resume that included minor adjustments, voice work in Disney's animated series Recess, and a supporting role in the film Ghost Dog: The Way of the Samurai in 1999 alongside Forrest Whitaker. But the role that defined her was Vanessa "Nessa" Tompkins on The Bernie Mac Show, which she played from 2001 to 2006. As the eldest of 3 children dumped into Bernie's reluctant custody, Vanessa was the teenager with attitude, intelligent, guarded, and slowly revealing a vulnerability underneath. The performance earned Camille 3 NAACP Image Awards for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Comedy Series, plus a Young Artist Award in 2006. After the show ended, she continued working, guest appearances on Grey's Anatomy, Criminal Minds, recurring roles on The Secret Life of the American Teenager. The parts kept coming, but the breakthrough lead role that would have launched her into the next tier never materialized. Hollywood's transition path for young black actresses remained as narrow as it had always been. What followed was a series of reinventions. Music. She is a trained pianist, and her voice was featured on the Criminal Minds soundtrack. Entrepreneurship. As a teenager, she owned and operated Baked Ice, an ice cream parlor in Pasadena, for which she received a Teenpreneur Award from Black Enterprise magazine in 2004. And then, in 2021, something that surprised many fans. Camille publicly announced she had launched an OnlyFans account, citing the end of residual checks from the Bernie Mac show and the need to generate independent income. The announcement was made without apology. Camille Winbush is 36 years old. Her story is about what happens when the industry stops returning your calls, and how a woman chooses to answer for herself anyway. Tahj Mowry. Most people know the name Mowry and immediately think of Sister Sister, but there was a third Mowry sibling who built his own career, quietly, steadily, and on entirely his own terms. Tahj Dior Mowry was born on May 17, 1986, in Honolulu, Hawaii, the younger brother of twin sisters Tia and Tamara Mowry, who would go on to anchor Sister Sister through the 1990s. But Tahj was performing before either of them had their breakout. He made his acting debut at age 4 in 1990 on Who's the Boss, then became a recurring presence on Full House as Michelle Tanner's best friend Teddy, a role that introduced him to millions of viewers well before he had his own show. That show came in 1997 when Tahj was cast as T.J. Henderson, a child prodigy who skips grades to attend high school, in Smart Guy on the WB. The series ran for 3 seasons until 1999, and while it didn't achieve the longevity of Sister Sister, it earned a devoted following and remains one of the more fondly remembered black family sitcoms of that era. His voice acting career was equally substantial. As Wade Lode in Disney Channel's Kim Possible, the tech genius operating from behind a computer screen, Tahj voiced one of the most beloved supporting characters in the show's four-season run from 2002 to 2007. When Kim Possible ended, his television presence shifted but never vanished. From 2012 to 2017, he played Tucker Dobbs in the ABC Family/Freeform sitcom Baby Daddy for 6 full seasons, a legitimate adult television run that proved his staying power. He has also pursued music, releasing the single Flirt in 2015, and has remained publicly close with his sisters throughout his adult life. One factual note worth clarifying from the original transcript: Tahj Mowry is not a twin. He is the younger brother of twin sisters Tia and Tamara, a distinction the family has publicly noted many times. Tahj Mowry is 39 years old. His career never exploded into tabloid magnitude, but it never collapsed either. In the world of child stardom, that quiet persistence is its own form of extraordinary. Marcus T. Paulk. He was the little brother everyone adored. But outside the world of Moesha, Marcus T. Paulk's story took turns that were far harder to watch. Marcus Tyrone Paulk was born in 1986 and broke into Hollywood in the mid-1990s through commercials and small television appearances before landing what would become his defining early role, Miles Mitchell, the mischievous, scene-stealing younger brother of Brandy's character on the UPN sitcom Moesha, which ran from 1996 to 2001. The show was groundbreaking in its portrayal of a black middle-class family in Los Angeles, and Marcus, young, funny, and physically expressive, gave it a youthful energy that made Miles one of the most memorable recurring characters on 1990s black television. When Moesha ended, Marcus attempted a transition to film. His appearances in the 2005 skating comedy Roll Bounce alongside Bow Wow and Nick Cannon, and in the 2006 dance film Take the Lead with Antonio Banderas, suggested someone working hard to grow beyond the role that made him. For a moment, the trajectory seemed possible. It didn't hold. Roles became smaller and less frequent. By the late 2000s, the lead parts had dried up, and then came the headlines, the kind that attach to a name and don't let go. In 2013, Marcus was arrested following a domestic dispute with his then-girlfriend, resulting in a domestic violence charge. In 2014, a DUI arrest followed a traffic stop. These incidents didn't end his career, but they reshaped the narrative around him. The adorable Miles Mitchell from Moesha became a cautionary footnote in articles about child stars who couldn't navigate the adult industry. Through it all, Marcus kept working. Independent films, small television appearances, music under his own name. He channeled energy into rap, performing at regional events and releasing material that kept his name in circulation, even if it couldn't restore the level of attention he once held. Marcus T. Paulk is approximately 39 years old today. His story sits in the uncomfortable middle, not a complete disappearance, not a triumphant comeback, just a man still building, still trying, still here. Vanessa Baden. She played Kenan Thompson's little sister on one of Nickelodeon's most beloved shows. And then she walked away from it and came back as someone the entertainment industry genuinely needed. Vanessa Baden was born in 1985 in Manhattan Beach, California, and first appeared on screens as a young performer on Gullah Gullah Island, the Nickelodeon educational series that ran from 1994 to 1998. From there, she was cast as Kira Rockmore on Kenan and Kel, playing the sharp, quick-witted younger sister opposite Kenan Thompson and Kel Mitchell for the show's full run from 1996 to 2000. Kenan and Kel was appointment television for an entire generation of 1990s kids. The show defined Nickelodeon's golden age Saturday lineup and gave the network some of its highest ratings. Vanessa held her own opposite two natural comedians, delivering her lines with a confidence that belied her age. When the show ended, she made a choice that separated her from most of her peers. She enrolled at Florida State University, earned a degree in sociology, and spent years building a perspective on the world that had nothing to do with a television soundstage. But she didn't disappear from storytelling. She redirected it. In 2017, she co-wrote, co-produced, and starred in the web series Giants, which premiered on Issa Rae's YouTube channel before moving to BET+. The series tackled depression, identity, and the interior lives of young Black millennials with a specificity and honesty that mainstream television rarely attempted. It resonated immediately. The result? Multiple Daytime Emmy Awards, including Outstanding Digital Daytime Drama Series. And in 2019, Vanessa Baden Kelly won the Emmy for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Digital Daytime Drama Series, one of the most meaningful individual performance awards in her category.
She has also published essays on race and gender in the entertainment industry, worked as a political speechwriter, and become a mother.
Vanessa Baden Kelly is approximately 40 years old. She didn't just return to Hollywood, she returned on her own terms, with her own story to tell and an award to prove it.
Shadia Simmons. She was one of Disney Channel's most thoughtful young performers, and she chose a classroom over a comeback.
Shadia Simmons was born in 1986 in Toronto, Canada, and began acting in her early childhood, appearing in the 1996 television adaptation of Harriet the Spy. Her breakout came in 2000 with The Color of Friendship, a Disney Channel original movie based on the true story of a white South African exchange student placed with the family of a Black U.S. congressman during the apartheid era. Shadia played Piper Dellums, daughter of Ron Dellums, then a Democratic congressman representing Oakland, the young woman who has to navigate an impossible personal and political dynamic when her family's exchange student arrives holding views shaped by apartheid South Africa. It was a role with genuine weight, and Shadia carried it with a maturity that surprised critics and earned the film a Humanitas Prize and an Emmy for Outstanding Children's Program.
The film is still screened in educational settings today and remains one of the most substantive Disney Channel productions ever made on the subject of race and human dignity.
She continued working through the early 2000s, Xenon, the sequel, in 2001, and a 4-year run as Corinne Baxter, the driven science student on the Canadian sci-fi series Strange Days at Blake Halsey High from 2002 to 2006. The show, while not widely known in the United States, developed a loyal following through its thoughtful blend of science fiction and teenage drama. When Blake Halsey High concluded, Shadia made a decision that most people in her industry couldn't understand. She left to pursue education. She completed her undergraduate degree, pursued graduate-level studies, and transitioned into teaching, becoming an educator working with children and young adults in Canada. Shadia Simmons is approximately 39 years old. Her absence from Hollywood was never about failure.
It was about priority, specifically choosing a life of direct impact over one of reflected light.
In an industry that rarely lets people go gracefully, she simply left, and the children in her classroom are better for it.
Jazz Raycole. She was fired from one of the biggest sitcoms on television before the second season even aired, and it turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to her career.
Jasmine Raycole Dillingham was born on February 11, 1989, in Stockton, California. The daughter of a dance studio owner and a water company superintendent, Jazz was in dance competitions by age 4 and was homeschooled by her mother, who managed her career through childhood. Her acting debut came in 1995, splitting her very first year between 2 films, voicing a puppy in Babe and playing Onika Harris in Waiting to Exhale. What followed was a steady build-up through the late 1990s, guest appearances on Malcolm and Eddie, The Jamie Foxx Show, and an early appearance on Smart Guy. By 2001, when she was 12 years old, she was cast as Claire Kyle, the eldest daughter in the pilot season of ABC's My Wife and Kids starring Damon Wayans. The show was an immediate hit.
And then, between Season 1 and Season 2, Jazz was replaced.
The reason, reported widely at the time, was that her mother objected to a planned storyline involving a teen pregnancy that was close to Claire's character. Rather than expose her daughter to that content at 12, she pulled Jazz from the series. Jennifer Freeman stepped in as the new Claire Kyle and held the role for the rest of the show's 5-season run. The entertainment industry is ruthless with people who say no. For years, Jazz worked in the margins, recurring roles on Everybody Hates Chris, Monk, and the post-apocalyptic drama Jericho. She never stopped, but the headline roles weren't coming. Then came The Soul Man on TV Land in 2012, and eventually, in 2022, a recurring role as Izzy on Netflix's The Lincoln Lawyer, a critically praised drama that introduced her to audiences who had no idea she'd been working for nearly 3 decades.
Jazz Raycole is 37 years old, still dancing, still acting, still building. The girl who was replaced turned out to be impossible to replace. Jaden Smith. He had everything: the name, the talent, the money, the connections. And Hollywood still walked away from him. Jaden Christopher Sire Smith was born on July 8, 1998 in Malibu, California, the son of Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith. His first on-screen appearance came in 2003 at age 5 on All of Us, the UPN sitcom his parents produced. By age 8, he was carrying scenes opposite his father in The Pursuit of Happiness, a critically acclaimed film that earned Will Smith an Oscar nomination, and Jaden's performance as Christopher Gardner Jr. drew genuine praise, earning him an MTV Movie Award and a Teen Choice Award. The momentum felt unstoppable. In 2008, he starred alongside Keanu Reeves in The Day the Earth Stood Still. In 2010, at just 11 years old, he headlined the Karate Kid remake opposite Jackie Chan, a film that grossed $359 million worldwide and looked for a moment like the beginning of a blockbuster franchise. Then came After Earth in 2013. A $130 million science fiction film directed by M. Night Shyamalan and co-starring his father. It earned $60 million domestically. Critics were brutal. The Razzie Awards gave Jaden Worst Actor. Will Smith later wrote in his memoir that guiding his son into the project was the decision he most regretted in his professional life. Jaden took the hit, he wrote. In the immediate aftermath, at age 15, Jaden asked his parents about pursuing legal emancipation. He ultimately chose not to file, but the request told its own story. Hollywood did not come back with major roles. Instead, Jaden pivoted to music, releasing albums including Sire 2017 and Eris 2019, to fashion through his clothing collective Misfits Rep, and to social activism, funding clean water initiatives in Flint, Michigan, and operating a free vegan food truck called I Love You restaurant in Los Angeles. He remains, at 27, one of the most genuinely complex figures to emerge from child stardom, a young man still searching for the version of himself that exists entirely outside his last name. Kyle Massey. He shared a fictional bedroom with one of Disney Channel's biggest stars. But Kyle Massey's story after the cameras stopped is one that his fans rarely got to see clearly. Christopher Kyle Massey was born on August 28, 1991, in Atlanta, Georgia. He first appeared on That's So Raven in 2003, playing Corey Baxter, Raven's younger brother, the scheming, lovable, endlessly enterprising little kid who turned every episode into a competition for scene-stealing supremacy. The role was an immediate hit, and Kyle's comedic timing gave That's So Raven a family dynamic that felt real. His popularity earned him his own spin-off. Corey in the House, which premiered in 2007, followed Corey Baxter to the White House after his father became the president's personal chef. It ran for 2 seasons, making Kyle Massey one of the very few Disney Channel child actors to anchor not 1, but 2 series before turning 20. He also competed in season 11 of Dancing with the Stars in 2010, finishing in 3rd place and introducing himself to an adult audience who hadn't grown up with Corey Baxter. After Disney, however, the professional landscape narrowed considerably. Guest appearances and small projects continued, but no consistent network foothold returned. What began arriving in the news instead were legal matters. In 2021, a lawsuit was filed alleging that Massey had sent explicit material to a minor, allegations he denied. The case drew significant media attention and, regardless of its legal resolution, damaged his public image substantially.
He has continued to work in entertainment and maintain an online presence, but the trajectory of his career was interrupted in ways that earlier Disney success had never prepared him for. Kyle Massey is 34 years old. His Disney years represent some of the most genuinely funny, energetic children's television of the 2000s. What comes next is still being written, but it will require more than the charm that made Corey Baxter beloved. Cleo Thomas. He dug holes in the Texas desert alongside Shia LaBeouf, and the world called him a star. Then the world moved on, and Cleo Thomas had to figure out what came next without a map. Cleo Thomas was born on April 17, 1989, in Anchorage, Alaska, and raised in California. His breakthrough came in 2003 when he was cast as Hector Zero Zeroni in Disney's Holes, directed by Andrew Davis and based on the Newbery Medal-winning novel by Louis Sachar. The film featured an ensemble cast that included Sigourney Weaver, Jon Voight, Patricia Arquette, and a young Shia LaBeouf, and it performed solidly at the box office, earning $67 million worldwide on a $20 million budget. Cleo's portrayal of Zero, the quiet, mysterious boy who turns out to be one of the story's most emotionally complex characters, earned him genuine critical attention. He was 14 years old. The expectation, reasonable at the time, was that Holes was a launchpad. It was more like a ceiling. The transition to adult leading roles that should have followed didn't come at the scale the Holes performance seemed to promise. He continued working, appearing in Roll Bounce in 2005, television guest spots, and smaller film projects across the 2000s and 2010s. But the consistent, high-profile work that defines a sustained career never fully materialized. Part of the challenge was structural. Hollywood has historically offered black child actors far fewer pathways into adult leading roles than their white peers, and the roles that Holes opened theoretically were rarely followed through in practice. Cleo Thomas moved into music and social media in his adult years, cultivating a following through platforms including Instagram and YouTube, where he has spoken openly about his experiences in the industry and his life post-Hollywood. He has been candid about the gap between expectation and reality that child stardom creates. He is approximately 36 years old today. Zero dug until he found something worth keeping. Cleo Thomas is still digging and still worth watching. 16 names, 16 different paths. Some chose silence. Some had silence forced upon them. Some are still fighting battles the cameras never captured. But here's the question nobody wants to answer honestly. Was Hollywood the villain, or did fame simply expose the cracks that were already there? Drop your take in the comments below. And if one of these stories hit differently for you, if you grew up watching them and never knew what really happened, share this video. Someone out there needs to see it. Memory Lane. Black people doesn't let these stories disappear twice. Subscribe, stay with us, and keep the memory alive.